It's actually pretty amazing that Netflix is putting out old films. Because do you know what I watched? You actually do know what I watched, but the audience doesn't know.
Oh, we're on.
We are on.
Thanks for the intro, babe.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to just go. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me explain something to you. There's 3 kinds of activity. There's A, B, and C activity.
I know.
But anywho, she was looking at a list saying things that are coming to Netflix, but they're older films, but I really enjoy that. Because I just watched 21 Jump Street with Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum. And that was on Netflix.
Right.
And the interesting thing about movies like that, I wouldn't just think, you know what, I want to watch 21 Jump Street. But when Netflix shows it, for some reason, it's just easy. You press it. And when I was watching that movie in 2012, I was a different person.
You were a different
person. So now I'm absorbing these movies. Like, Remember the Titans. If I watch that kind of movie now, it's going to hit different than when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that they're putting that on Netflix. But you just like all the new ones?
Here's the deal. I love old classics, and I love ones that you wouldn't think to watch, like you said. But something like Fool's Gold I've seen, and that is with Matthew McConaughey and Kate Hudson, and it ain't that good. So that's why I had that reaction.
When's the last time you've seen Fool's Gold?
Probably about a year ago.
Really?
Yes. See, I love rom-coms.
Where were you living?
I was probably living in Twin Eagles in Reunion, Florida. And I went down, I think you watched it with me.
I watched Fool's Gold not too long ago, and I don't think it was with you. I was on a Matthew McConaughey kick. It was a great film.
It was good.
I mean, I wouldn't use the word great.
It was good.
But
like
it was easily digestible.
Sure, but it has just like a weird twist, and I don't know.
What was the twist? It's old enough now, I forgot. I just remember it was Matthew McConaughey looking for gold, falling in love.
When I say twist, what I mean is I feel like the first 30 minutes of the movie, you're like, oh, this is good. And then it just like takes a real horrible dive, and it's not so great.
Well.
Fool's Gold, though,
diving. Yeah. You know, sometimes the puns just come out.
They just come out.
But what is coming to Netflix?
We do have a lot of stuff I want to chat about today, but should we do our intro first?
Sure. Would you like to give it a try?
Nope.
Let's do it together.
Welcome everyone to the Freddie and Alyssa Show.
If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, like, comment, all that fun YouTube stuff. If you're watching on Facebook and you want to like the page, that would be amazing. If you're listening on a platform like iTunes and you want to leave us a 5-star review, that would be great. We've been putting up content now for over 4 years, and we couldn't be doing what we love without all of your support. So thank you for tuning in every Wednesday.
Can you tell how with everything in life I listen up to a certain point and then I zone out?
You lost interest the moment I said welcome to the Freddie and Alyssa Show. Let's hope the audience did not. We are 200 some episodes in, so yes. I think it's amazing that you knew 50% of our opening.
I did know it.
It's impressive. Maybe by episode 400 or 500 you'll know it all.
Listen, one of these days, guys, I'm going to come through with the opening.
Yes, well, why don't you come through with the opening of some new film and shows that are coming to Netflix, because I feel like we're getting into the season.
We are
the holiday
into the season.
There's some bangers coming out that I can't wait to watch.
Well, what I feel is interesting with Netflix lately, they had a couple really good shows, like remember Made, and there were some great, fantastic watches, but then I feel like nothing new came out. After Squid Game Made, I was like, come on, guys, it's been a week. Where are all the great films?
Yeah, it's been a week. It's
been a week, and it feels like a year. So, that being said, I wanted to kind of go through a couple that I saw that looked phenomenal. First and foremost, do you remember The Princess Switch with Vanessa Hudgens?
Uh-huh.
She played 2 different roles.
Uh-huh.
And you and I, we gave a review about it saying, dare I say, it was like the best movie of the year.
Those can be destroyed or wrecked with mistakes.
Yes.
And the film made no mistakes. It was
great.
I remember it being a really, really good film.
So The Princess Switch 3 is coming out, but guess what? Not only is Miss Vanessa Hudgens playing one character, 2 characters, she's now playing a 3rd character that they're bringing in. So it's like a long lost cousin, and she's like the big bad or whatever. But she gets to play
big what?
The big bad.
Big bad?
You've never heard of that?
No. Is it
like in movies or television? It's the big bad of the season is the bad guy, the villain.
Huh? Never heard of
the big bad. Have you guys heard that?
But okay, so yeah. she's gonna play 3 characters. That'll be interesting.
Yes, the third one will be the big bad.
Yeah. Talk about that call sheet. She's at the up at the crack of dawn every day, but worth it. 3 roles. I wonder if she gets 3 times the pay.
That
would be the number one question that
Freddie
part-time theatrical agent Frederick Matthew Smith Jr. would ask. I always wondered that too. I think I asked somebody on Days, and now I didn't remember the answer. When someone got to play a twin or play another character at the same time, I don't think they doubled your rate. I think you got a little extra for playing the other role. But I don't think if you play separate roles, you get paid twice. Like if they're not in the same scene. But that's on Days. I'm not sure what they do for like
quick question
other
on
movies
that.
Or televisions.
What percentage of the cast would you say during your time at Days had a twin or evil twin character?
I mean, it wasn't that. I think Galen had one at one point. I can't remember if that was when I was just on the show, and I know that Deidre Hall's done it a couple times, and then Judy Evans plays Bonnie, and did that back and forth. But I don't know how many times they actually had.
And then they have the one who wears the disguise that used to crack me up.
Yes, the character of Susan.
Susan!
Yeah.
I remember that. I love what she did with that.
So asking Stacy about that. Right? I mean, I don't want to ask. I wouldn't ask somebody about money. But she was like hardcore playing 2 characters.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there was some sort of bump in pay.
Huh.
Just because you're doing more work.
So was she playing Susan and then her other main character in the same episode?
I believe so. I think that's how that went.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll ask her one day. Maybe we'll have her back on. Stacy, I love her. She's the sweetest.
And then we'll ask her just a bunch of personal questions. How much did you make?
Tell us everything.
Tell us everything.
Well, speaking of having these twins, triplets, well, I guess they're not triplets in the movie, but she's playing. You got where I was going. The Princess Switch 3 coming out November 18th.
That's a good one.
Now, the other one that I saw a few actually. The other one coming out, I think it's November 18th too. I'll have to look. Red Notice. Do you know anything about Red Notice?
Red Notice is with The Rock and
Gal Gadot
and Ryan Reynolds.
That's
the 18th?
That is.
I thought it was the 12th.
November 5th. Wait. No way.
It's not out already.
No way. Let me double check.
It's the 12th.
Here. It's got to be the 12th, right?
Yeah. I just know because I follow him on Instagram.
Coming Friday.
Which I believe is the 12th.
12th?
What's today?
Today
is the 12th.
Oh, yeah.
The 12th.
Wow. So we'll have that. That's, I feel like, one of the first live action type movies with all these stars coming to Netflix. Or they've done it a little bit.
Ryan Reynolds did another one with Samuel L. Jackson and Salma Hayek.
Is it
the Bodyguard something? Oh. I watched that and it was decent. Right. It wasn't anything that I would like rewatch. They did that. I'll tell you one of the greatest Netflix action films. I rewatched it with my dad when we were moving.
Yeah.
It's Extraction with Chris Hemsworth. That is a phenomenal film.
Really?
It is so good. And I think it's one of its most viewed movies. Like top 10 of all time.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, you'd enjoy it. I just watched it. I don't know if I would read. You don't like action stuff, but I like
Fool's Gold.
I did like Fool's Gold, and I like the Princess Switch. All right, there's certain movies that if it tells the story correctly, despite the plot, you know, why wouldn't I enjoy a Princess Switch?
All right. Well, we're gonna switch up the gears a little bit.
Okay.
Do you know who Jonathan Larson was? You probably don't.
No.
Okay. So he's the individual who wrote Rent. You know the musical Rent?
Yes.
And he was 35 years old, and on the night before the off-Broadway debut of Rent, which ended up being one of like the most well-known musicals in the world, he died. So he never got to see the success of his baby. However, he also at the time was writing this play musical called Tick Tick Boom, which took many, many, many years to even come to light, and eventually it started playing, people started doing the performance. Well, Lin-Manuel Miranda decided to direct the film, and Tick, Tick, Boom, about Jonathan Larson's life, which he actually wrote it. Jonathan Larson is now coming to Netflix on November 19th. So
wow.
Yeah. And basically what it's about, on the brink of turning 30, a promising theater composer navigates love, friendship, and the pressure to create something great before time runs out. And what's funny, in high school, I was obsessed with this musical. Like, I would always perform the songs, and it was something that I loved so much. And so now, and it's kind of more of an under wraps musical. You had to know about it. But yeah, that's coming out, so that's going to be interesting. And Andrew Garfield is playing Jonathan Larson.
He's a great actor.
So it's going to be really good.
I love that. And there's also Ozark season whatever's coming out in January. The newest season. And then, can you look up Leo Jonah Hill new movie? Google it.
Really?
Yeah. It's a huge cast.
What?
It's called, let me see. Don't Look Up.
Ooh.
So can you look up when is Don't Look Up release date? Don't Look Up release date.
That's coming out on Netflix?
Is it on Netflix?
December 10th.
It says USA. Or someone's asking a question. Is it available on Netflix? In theaters. But it hits Netflix 2 weeks later on Christmas Eve.
Wow. What's it about? Do you know?
Two of my favorite people.
Don't look up synopsis. It's like I'm saying, don't look up the synopsis. Two low-level astronomers must go on a giant media tour to warn mankind of an approaching comet that will destroy planet Earth.
Oh my God. I just want to see them two together. I don't know if they've acted since Wolf of Wall Street together.
Wow, that's going to be so good. Leo's been a little quiet lately. What's the last thing he was in? I feel like after he won his Oscar, he was just kind of chill.
Well, he did a big run there. I mean, he always had. I mean, I think he has single-handedly the best resume in Hollywood.
100%.
I don't think there's a bad Leo DiCaprio. I mean, when he was younger, he did. Was it Basketball Diaries?
Yeah, What's Eating Gilbert Grape
and The Titanic. I mean, he did those three incredible films, and then he was in Catch Me If You Can when he was getting older. He did Aviator.
Yep.
He was in The Departed. Then he just did. He did Quentin Tarantino's movie. That was what he just did.
Yeah.
He did Quentin's. He did The Revenant. He did Shutter Island. He did Inception.
Just so many great ones.
He did Wolf of Wall Street.
That was so good. He even did Romeo and Juliet when he was younger, which was just so well done.
Yeah, I mean,
How did he pick? How did he know? You think he picked, or you think his representation picked?
I don't know. I mean, he does work with Scorsese a lot, so he was, it's kind of like you have a good chance of winning. But yeah, he even did Gangs of New York.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that one. Maybe I have.
Maybe a long, long time ago. Yeah, the thing with him, even since he was young, he was always a phenomenal actor.
Yeah.
He just had the gift. It wasn't like he kind of grew into it. He's just always been fantastic. So to go from having one of the biggest careers as, I guess, the teen heartthrob, and then continuing to grow into an adult and then be looked at as, just a really well-respected actor all these years later, kudos, because that's rare.
Yeah, he has he's one of those people. And then Denzel's done very well. Denzel Washington has banger after banger. I've really enjoyed his stuff.
When do you think Denzel started, though?
I think he's got movies in the 80s.
Really?
Yeah. So he's been around a very long time. So even when his movies came out, in early 2000s, he had been at it for 12 years professionally.
My gosh.
And so he's great. There's going to be an interesting thing to watch the new generations come up of. Are people going to be movie stars for 30 years now? Who knows what's going to happen? And also, it's interesting how you're picking and choosing. Before, I felt everyone went to the movies, and now I just saw that Tom Hanks has a new movie out, but it's on Apple Plus.
Okay.
Which is, cool, because I think I have that, because I was watching Ted Lasso not too long ago on it. But it was now, if you don't have Apple Plus or don't want to pay for it, you don't see the Tom Hanks movie. Where before, we would just go to the movie and you would see all the movie stars at the movie theater. And now I have to go, well, if I want to pay for James Bond or I want to pay for, a Chris Hemsworth movie or a DiCaprio movie, where are they all at? So now that they're picking, but I feel Netflix still has the biggest platform. Like there's something about like Red Notice on Netflix is going to be watched by so many people. Even Squid Games came out with the statistic.
154 million households watched Squid Game.
And to put that into perspective, I think like second place television or TV show on Netflix was like 80 million.
Wow. I mean, it's insanity. And speaking of that, so the writer, creator, director of Squid Game, I mean, he literally did it all across the board. And in my opinion, that's my favorite when one creative does all of it. I know that's insanely hard, but I feel the end product is just such a complete vision because the person who wrote it is directing it. It's all coming from their mind, what they thought up when they were writing it. So I always love that. And obviously Squid Game was a beautiful illustration of that. And originally, once we had finished the season 1, I was like, man, I have to know as much as I can when season 2 coming out. And I started reading articles and the creator was like, look, this took me a long time to do. I need to step away for a couple years. I'll come back to it. But cut to today, because of its major success, he just came out saying, look, we got to do a season 2. And he was saying, I know a lot of people loved it so much, so I might end up doing it all again myself, which I know for him, he's just kind of like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But also, this is just such a chance of a lifetime that his series was #1 worldwide for how long with all of those views. So I'm so excited. And he said too that I believe it was Ji-hun, the lead in the show, that he was going to be doing something in the new series to quote unquote like save the world and the game and the people. So we'll see what happens. It's still very, very in the beginning stages. So
I will tell you too, though, he, from what I heard on the financial end too, is that he obviously had hopes of it being successful, but I don't even think there was any sort of clause in his contract that stated that he would get a bonus for a certain amount of success. So I don't think that he made, so he was paid
that hurts
as a newcomer on the platform. So he's probably paid like the same that everyone's paid when they're new, but it ended up being the biggest thing. So that's also really wise for people who are creating music, who are creating content, to have virality clauses. And that's the same thing even with content creators. There's certain things that I'm starting to hear where when you're working with brands, you should have a virality clause. Because if you're getting paid for the amount of views and numbers that you currently have, but you happen to make a video with their brand name and they're paying you, but it does 6 million views, then you should have a virality clause so that you're paid more. And the same thing sounds like that for Netflix. And that was one of the disadvantages when I was on Days, when I signed a 4-year contract. The disadvantage that I had signing a 4-year was that they were picking my income and salary based on the fact that they held all the leverage in 2011. I had nothing to negotiate because they're like no one knows your character. It's 2011. They were unsure how people would react to the storyline in general. And so I had no leverage. So I could have just said, I don't want this. And they go, we'll pick choice number 2. Maybe not. I don't know. But there was nothing to leverage. But then after 2 years, you build a fan base. They start seeing your work ethic. They start seeing the value you're bringing. But because I'm in a 4-year contract, I can't negotiate higher prices. So the contract I negotiated was a 4-year contract. So I was locked into those. I got raises every year. But people who came into the show in like 2018, who came in for a year and then made it like a big splash when they had like their second year, I guarantee you on most people's year 2, they were getting paid more than I did on my year 4 at the beginning.
Wow. But during your time in the beginning, when you've had that first 4-year contract, you're probably like, wow, I get to be employed as an actor for 4 years. Why wouldn't I sign it?
Well, that was the whole thing. And they were the ones giving me a platform. But then it kind of equaled out in the sense that we could each bring something to each other. But yeah, it's interesting how that all like works. But then they have the ability to let me go every 13 weeks of the 4 years. Or maybe the last year was 26 weeks. So even though I signed a 4-year contract, I couldn't leave for 4 years.
Right.
I couldn't end it. But at any given 13-week end of cycle, they could let me go without any penalty.
Oh my gosh.
So, but they had all the leverage. But then once you go down the road, and from things I heard through the grapevine with like some of the veterans too, you have more protection, if you will. Like you can't be let go after 13. It moves to 26 weeks. I even heard some people have a whole year. So if you sign a year, you can't be let go. You have to be paid for the year. So you work your way up because you're adding value. But bringing it back to Squid Games, that's the only like example I had in that scenario to share. But that's what happens. It's like, but what did he get now? For season 2, I guarantee you he got a substantial bump.
Yes, but also too, I would have to double check, but I don't believe he's a new writer-director.
No.
I think
I'm just saying new to the platform.
Oh, gotcha.
Like maybe they aren't as free with giving money if you haven't proved yourself on the platform. But then of course they do, because they've given people like Adam Sandler a $200 million deal because it was Adam Sandler of who he did off the platform. But
where's he at? What was his movie? Hubie?
Hubie Halloween.
Hubie Halloween. That was last year, I think.
Yeah, I don't think he had Uncut Gems. He did was really good too.
Oh, that was great.
He'll come out with some other stuff too. There is a lot of good films out there, and this is the season. Usually, there's a couple months in the summer, and then there's like the Thanksgiving through the holiday, like a lot of good stuff.
Also, too, so to pivot to reality, because that is my jam. So, 90 Day Fiancé has a spinoff called The Single Life. And they follow, obviously, the couples who didn't make it on the show, The Single Life. And season 2 is coming out on Friday. And one of my favorite things about the 90 Day universe is some of these controversial people that are on the show. When they break up with their significant others, they'll go and date other people in the 90 Day Fiancé universe. And so now they're together on the show. And you're just like, what? So if you guys know Tim and Jennifer, season 2, 90 Day Fiancé, Single Life, I can't wait to watch that unfold. I mean, that's crazy.
I watched one of the seasons with you, and you get hooked on reality. There's a formula that it doesn't matter what it is, it just hooks you. It hooks you. It's
an easy watch.
Yeah.
You can easily go into this world without thinking like, I got to stop my whole life, everything. Like, even if you're on your phone for a minute watching reality TV, it doesn't matter.
You don't lose
You're not missing anything, and you can just unwind. And then Tiger King 2 is coming out in November on Netflix. I don't really know exactly what that is going to entail because I kind of thought they wrapped that up, but that was a long time ago. When I hear of Tiger King, I think of the beginning of the pandemic, and everyone and their mom was sitting there watching this show. It was a movie. Was it a movie or a show?
It was a show. It was a series. So yeah, I mean, that'll be interesting to check out, but yeah, I'm pumped for what's coming in the pipeline.
And then Selling Sunset 2 is coming, I think, season 4 on Netflix. So they're having a lot of reality and just really pumping out the content in the month of November. And I was kind of looking at December stuff, but we'll wait to chat about that because that's, November's got a lot of stuff. So enjoy.
Well, we'll see. It'll be nice to, especially for like the holidays, I love being able to decorate the tree, watch some fun movies, and I'm just counting down the days till my parents get here. Yes. I can't wait. Her sister's coming out with the kids. We've got so many like exciting things happening with the family, and so I just can't wait to spend some time. This one over here is just crushing it in her career right now. She just had a closing Monday.
I did.
That was a lot of fun. I put on the chauffeur hat, and I was able to drive, which I really enjoy doing because I know when she has a very important day to like take care of everything so she can focus on what she's doing, because she did that for me so many years when I had important events or days of work and studying. She always took care of like everything in the house and made sure everything was easy, so all I had to focus on was my work. And so I want to return that favor, so I always feel like I'm like, whatever you need, especially on your big work days. If it's a At home work day, you can vacuum and do the dishes. But if we're out of the house and you're going to meetings and you're meeting with people and you're signing papers and doing all that, I like to really help you. But how was that experience?
So on Monday, we had what we call closing day. And that is the day that both parties come to the table. They each sign. You go to basically what they call a title company. And that's where you go and sign all of the legal paperwork. Generally, the sellers will go earlier and or sometimes later, and then the buyers will go at a different time. So once you officially sign, you get the keys, everything is locked, loaded, done, and you're ready to go into your new home if you're the buyer, which my client was the buyer of the house. So it was a very happy day. And it was really cool because we got to do this in Newport Richey. So
cool place.
Yeah, it's this very laid back beach town, but it doesn't feel like a lot of out-of-towners are there. It feels as if there are families who live there. There's a lot of community, which you can feel. And even my client was saying, I've met all the neighbors and they're all so nice. And one of them came over and said, hey, if you need help, they're cool. Just really, really there for each other. So I couldn't be happier for her. It's always interesting when you have a client, though, who comes from out of town because there's a lot that can go into that. And so generally when you put an offer in, it usually, I would say, if your offer is accepted, about 30 days till closing day, because there are a lot of different things that have to be done. There's appraisal, there's inspection, just the list goes on and on. But everyone handled their part and their piece beautifully. And it just was a really smooth deal. And I'm so excited for my client. She finally has what we call her bucket list home. And it was a great day. Can't complain.
Do you feel it gets addicting? Like the more you're in it, it gets like addicting. Like you get that hit of like, I want to do this more often. I want to like...
Every single day of my life, I want some sort of deal happening, because what I love is every deal is different. So you're working with different personalities. You're learning something new might arise. In this deal, there was something with flood insurance, because it was a house near the coast. And so we were trying to transfer it because it turns out FEMA is upping the flood insurance a lot come next year. So, there are just all these different things that go in that might not pertain to a house in the middle of Orlando. You're not going to need flood insurance.
Yeah.
So it was just quite an adventure on this one. And my client is so, so lovely. She was just amazing from start to finish. So yes, to answer your question, it is definitely addicting, and it's fun because I feel like I've kind of gone from buyer's agent, seller's agent, buyer's agent, and you do different roles on each side. So it's been fun, and the rest of this year, I gotta say, there's a lot going on. So I'm excited to see December, obviously the rest of this month, it feels like we just entered November, and it's already November 10th. Yeah,
it's flying by.
What is going on?
I don't know, but I'm enjoying it. I'm so excited for the family to get here, and just I'm pumped. So, but yeah, I'm so proud of you. Congrats on everything, honey. And
wait, and congrats to you
for
30 pounds in 84 days.
That is huge. I used to be huge, and now my results are huge. I've lost officially 30 pounds. So that's 3 Benjis.
That's 3 Benjis.
3 Benjis. He's knocked out. And I've been putting out on my TikTok and Instagram like some of the meals that I've been having. They're nothing elaborate. They're actually very simple and basic, but I just really like how I feel. If you're considering any sort of weight loss, I know it's the holiday. This is like the toughest time. So if you want to sacrifice and start now, go for it. If you want to wait till the new year, knock it out and then really start your year off, because I put it off for so long, and I'm really glad I got started. And it's just night and day how much better I feel.
You know what you're doing, though, and I love this? I think it's Ed Milet who talks about, it's called separation season, and it's usually November, December of the year, where instead of just, because most people just go, forget it, I'll do it next year. But you started early because you're like, I need to build momentum going into the year, and that's exactly what you did. So I love that.
Well, and I also think it was just a mind shift change for me. So regardless of what I'm eating, I think whatever diet you think is going to work for you long term. But before, anytime I dieted, it was just to shed the weight so that I could be thin enough to buy myself a few more months of going back to the bad habits. Because if I got down to 175, I'm like, it's going to take me 6 months before I get like heavy again. So then I could do this sacrifice for 3 months and then do 6 months of like whatever the hell I wanted, and then do another 3 months of dieting.
Right.
But this time I don't want to go back. Like, I have not had dairy. I have not had any processed food, no refined sugar, and no alcohol at all in 84 days. Today's 84th day. And I just don't see a reason to do it. I definitely want to reincorporate alcohol at some point because I really do enjoy that.
Yeah.
But like dairy, processed foods.
So you've had no cheese?
No cheese.
Wow.
Unless there was like, when we ate out like twice, if there was any sort of like, is it butter dairy?
Yes.
So maybe if there was like, if my salmon was cooked in butter, maybe that. But I'm saying like a chunk of cheese or like, you know, pizza, something like that. And then also I'm learning too that carbs, there is good and bad carbs.
Yeah.
It's like having McDonald's French fries is bad carbs.
Yes.
But if you're going to have oatmeal, rice, quinoa, Ezekiel bread, baked potato, blueberries, vegetables, those are all really good carbs for you.
So, well then here's my question though. So right now you've got everything pretty much that you eat, you know your diet.
Yeah.
When you get to the weight, your goal weight, what do you add to your menu, if you will, so that you don't keep losing?
Well, that'll be basically what I have to do. Is I'm going to have to see when I get to my goal weight, I'm going to have to look up in a calculator what is my maintaining calorie rate. And if it says you have to have 2,200 a day to maintain, then I'll have to just adjust and maybe have an extra handful of pistachios, maybe have 3 pieces of toast in the morning. Maybe instead of 3 hard-boiled eggs, I'll have 6 hard-boiled eggs. So you just kind of up it so that I get to 2,200, and then I stay there. Now, my goal, though, is I want to get into the gym and start building, like, a lot of muscle. Yeah. So in order for me to do that, I might have to start having 4 pieces of toast, 6 hard-boiled eggs, like, more pistachios, the entire ground beef packet, rather than just, 75% of it. So I'll have to add back in probably like 2,400 calories, but I'm not switching what I'm eating. So I'm going to eat the same stuff, just more of it when the time comes. But I'm not hungry. I don't get hangry. It's kind of amazing. Yeah. It's kind of amazing. I'm blown away that when you cut out all the bull crap, I'm just kind of like the bull crap. And so we'll see. But also too, this brings me back to the point of, if I just know what we're planning and what we're working towards, and I've had my fair share of fun when it comes to eating bad or drinking and doing all this stuff. It's just not a season for me to do that. Sure. So I don't know when it's going to be. So like if I don't drink on Thanksgiving, or I don't eat, whatever, have some cocoa or whatever for Christmas, or some Baileys. We always have Baileys and coffee and stuff. It's like, it's going to be a bummer, but it's like, not really. I'm more interested in the momentum that I'm building, and once I reach my goal weight, I'll find the right time to introduce like a cheat meal a week, which would be ideal. Like, I'd love one meal like every Saturday night where I can go and get a Philly cheesesteak and fries and some beer, but then everything else is just how I am. So I'm gonna figure it out. But as of now, I'm not ready to even put my toe in there. I just want to keep this going.
Got the momentum.
And
don't stop.
Yeah, I have those 84 days. Like, I don't want to ruin it because of a slice of pizza. Then I can't say that I've gone 84 days. Then I have to say I've gone 1.
You kill me.
I went through that already. I went through the sacrifice of the first 12 to 15 days is like kind of crazy, but then it just keeps getting easier and easier. But
well, I'm proud of you. Amazing job, honey.
Thank you very much. I'm proud of you as well. And thank you all for tuning in to check out our show. We'll be back here next Wednesday. We're wishing you just the most phenomenal weekend ever. Have some fun watching some new Netflix shows and movies coming out, and we will talk to you soon. Bye. Take care, everyone.